The TLDR of that desk segment was pretty much blank, you're wrong, and Kalaris being very dreamy. It's just...
Whoa, no. Jason was wrong. That was what I got from that.
I don't want to say... I'm going back to the desk on the last day.
That's true.
I don't want no trouble.
I'm there tomorrow, so...
oh,
we'll see
you
how
better
that
be
goes.
careful, yeah.
Also, Blank's made some mess on the desk. You were complaining about that to me. He's made a tiny little speck. It was bothering me.
All over my desk. Get it off, clean it.
Well, it's going to have to get a little bit cleaner for a lot of these teams, specifically for Nexus. This is a team that at the start, as we saw repeatedly, went down in a little bit of a scrap with Brute Force, who did end up placing second in that match, but not ideal for a team that we were expecting a lot from this tournament.
At least Nexus didn't die for nothing, you know? It got a team to second place. Well, for them, they died for nothing.
Yeah. Well.
But it allowed the other team to
do
do it, yeah. But the playing path, though, is going to be pretty decent for some of these teams, though. Some positions a little bit far out of reach. Areas like Novo, Northern George Pole might be a little bit tough, but looking at Gladiators, there's been mentioned a few times on Desk and Kitsune having a good start to the day. Are they going to go for Northern George and potentially share it with a team up there? I mean, initially they were back in the championships, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case here. And they're going to go for Primorsk because Vampire, not here, not PMWI, so free.
Well spotted. Yes,
thank you.
That is true. They are not here, and they just read into the lack of teams that are dropping here. I mean, fantastic stuff. Ferry Pier normally on that split, so good news for them. The far-flung Fireflux over in Kameshki on their split around Stalba on the northeast side as well, diametrically opposed from their main rivals, I would say, in this tournament. We have come into this one thinking that Gladiators are the favorite to win the whole thing, and they were highlighting before their rotations, keep them solid in the overall standings. They were able to get 6 points for their troubles in the last match, maybe looking for a little bit more. Mad Bull's scuffle over on the east side of Roshok. We haven't really spoken about too many hot drops here, Max, but it looks like this might be the only one that's super close right now. Yeah,
they're sharing it over with GK here, Mad Bulls. Satan is a little bit further away in Garden, actually, to the east. So he's going to have to be a little bit careful if he wants to potentially regroup. I would personally recommend it. Or GK, just don't take the fight, because right now they only got access to a few buildings of Rozhok, John, which means their loot is going to be severely lower than what Mad Bulls might actually have. So I would recommend not going for it. So, I mean, he knows where Tolika is. He took a few shots. Oh, he's not going to go for the nade. That would have been sick, actually, but...
That's my favorite. My favorite skin for the DBS, that one, with the boxing glove.
I didn't see it.
We've seen it plenty of times, but it's the green one.
Oh, the green one.
Boxing glove. Yeah.
Oh, the Revo skin. Yeah. Every time Revo was playing, he's just looking at the skin, and you just knew it was him.
It's much more insulting when you get eliminated by that weapon.
Yeah. Though we're seeing Zerich actually going for the angle south of Rozhok. He really wants to pin down the entirety of GK and cut off their escape route, which I would say is a very smart play right now if he's doing that. So Zerich currently trying to lock them down so they can't escape from this position of doom. Ooh.
Can't make their way over to Yasnaya, which is notably empty right now, Max.
Which is weird.
No one's over in Yasnaya right now. Given the plane path as well, it went right over there. Did someone drop there and leave early? I don't think so.
No. I mean, the thing is, right, this is the first Erangel. We're going to have 3 in a row, and that's one thing that I really enjoy about this map rotation is that teams might be looking back after this, and teams like maybe even Gladiators will be thinking, well, we went to Primorsk, which is pretty far away. What if we just go for Yasnaya Polyana, because it currently is free and it can typically house 2 teams, maybe 3 if you're really pushing it, but I don't think that's going to happen in the PMRC. But as of right now, it's slowed down.
To be fair, though, for Gladiators, you know, it would be a new rotation set for them. I mean, if they're much more used to Ferry Pier, Primorsk isn't that big of an adjustment to make. North George, you can move, you know, South George, you can go Zaki, you can go for maybe even Hospital as far as that, but those rotational paths can kind of come back into the warehouse. Playing from Yasnaya, it's a completely different setup.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because Gladiators also, I mean, we saw it during PMWI, they can drop Severny, so they know how to rotate towards there. Northern George / Hospital split, they've done it a few times, especially on the last 2 days of PMWI. And then, as you said, Ferry Pier, so it's smart for them to actually go into Primorsk is actually a decent rotation path for them. They're currently in the circle, I mean, centered up towards Potato Hill / the western side of Farm. So there's some decent compounds, which actually GQ are getting there early. But Marth, again for GK, being a player that's going down once more. And Mad Bull's trying to get himself even more limbs. Because once again, Zerich's angle here was so good to just lock them down that GK had no choice but to have to initiate that fight.
It's your favorite weapon as well, Max.
Oh, yeah.
The PPB zone.
I thought you meant DBS. But
oh,
the PPB zone, the Gitoon, that's going to be my favorite moment.
There's 2 of them. There's 2 of them in play. Fleeke, though, pulls out that DBS because I mean, you're playing close angles against multiple players. The GBS, absolutely the weapon you want in your hands.
But
before it gets nerfed, that is.
Double pipi bison.
I hadn't thought of that.
In Rozok.
The more this goes on, the more French you get, and that terrifies me, Max. Satan dropping the flashbang on the inside. The stun grenade is there.
He's on the right.
On the outside.
He's in the smoke.
He's given them the slip here. They're going to be complete. Oh, no. They spotted him. He's
the
dead.
sneaky play didn't work out. Goodbye, Fleeker.
That's unfortunate. Satan drags him back down to their level. 2 players now for the Mad Bulls down, with Frozen already out of the mix. Satan into the buggy, but sprayed down by Zerich, who doesn't quite get the knock. Now they can move up and into position. 1 player already flushed on GK's side. They'll want to try and put the pedal down here to accelerate this fight, to get rid of the Mad Bulls and not lose too many more.
Yeah, it seems like the resources are going to be dwindling slowly on Mad Bull's side too. It seems like they're not going to have those resources going to be everlasting in this game. Tulika, nice little angle though. Doesn't seem like he has the meds. So 2 bullets and he's pretty much done and dusted. Though actually, I do like what GK did here, John, because once they saw that Zerich was on the off angle, they just forced their way as a 4-man team on like the players that are singled out, like 2-man teams or just solos, that allow them to just overwhelm them with numbers and get himself that position. But as you point out here, John, brute force sneaking their way in here into Rozok. Zakaria is going to get himself the angle, and seeing, is this a third-party opportunity? It might just be.
Zerich on the inside, holding down for 1, but there is a trade-off for GK. Now the threat mainly comes from brute force on their rotation from the north side.
Stop moving!
You can't get away from that one, Zerich. Satan chefs himself up 1 Mad Bull. That is going to be the res opportunity as well. 3 players alive. They have got the sightlines under control. They will be able to res and get healed. But brute force have control over the north side of this circle.
Oh, this is horrendous for GK and Mad Bulls. The setup, they got so good angles too. Pre-pod gets the knock onto Satan. He had a great angle. Losing that is going to be massive. Now they have to go for the res, so you know they can close that gap even more. While AOD is going to be checking the angles on the windows. They get close enough to throw those nades in. GK down to only Ragnar.
2 players down and Ragnar on the inside. Is there anything he can't do with this also shotgun? We've seen it from him before, but the nade displaces him. The shots are good through, and the DP serves him up for dinner. GK finally eliminated. The Mad Bull's still going, by the way.
Yeah, he's running away. Tulika, just don't go back, please. He's going back, actually, was he? No, please don't. I would recommend to not do that, as Octavian's going to be spotted around prison, the position that we don't see too many fights happen recently, but okay, it's going to be Nexus Gaming taking a fight to Vision Esports.
So close to getting that knock. There it is. Needs to retrain the scope on that one, but we'll be able to find it nonetheless. The off angle not going to be active for Vision. They do not have the position they needed. Octavian repositioned away from the buggy there. They can't drop down. Not just yet. We'll need to move forwards. Next circle just about to pop, and Vision look like they want to disengage.
I would say that would be the best course of action for them, just try and leave it. I mean, Nexus have been having a tough time in their first game, eliminated by the side of brute force. Northeastern shift here, so a lot of open areas are going to be available here, down south of Yasnaya Polyana Fields. And I'm loving where Fireflux are going here. They're going to go for that 1 compound south of the fields, which is going to be so strong to defend if it does keep centering in that way. A few little replays coming out, and Satan really wanted to just put the disrespect on that knock.
Yeah, there's the flush. You love to see it. The pan in action. One of the highlights of every PUBG Mobile game, I'm sure. Vision still scrapping it back and forth on your screens with Exo Machina already down, but it is going to be traded. Exo Machina very isolated from the rest of the roster, but they are making that dash for them. Volt and Lath, 2 players active for Vision. Lath spotted on the cross. They can't get forwards for the flush, and Exo Machina, though, is going to be seen by Volt and will be charged for his forward position.
Yeah, not the great position. Octavian being able to get access to this rock is actually massive. A lot of extra information can just peek out, but he's out of ammo. 29 bullets, that's all he has. And unfortunately, no crates nearby, so you can't loot up. So maybe want to call this one a day, and seem like Vision have no interest to continue this fight any further.
They spotted that disengage, then they can grab that box from Exo Machina. Teams are starting to rotate on through. Eastern Bridge being crossed now by the gangsters. You could see on the southwest side, Gladiators have gotten past the south edge of De Muerte's hold, and they're all pushing in on that southwest edge, Max.
Oh, Capahala secured away. Falcons want a piece of that one. They do get it. Fireflux, though, send it straight center. I'm loving it, John. Nice little 2-on-1 split. A lot of control currently in the center of the circle, and with the cars they currently have under their control, they can easily regroup if the need comes up later on in the match. And Octavian coming up, he's trying to get the res. I mean, they've been having a tough time on the start of this game. Unfortunately, taking a fight in prison, not the best position. The terrain can be a bit treacherous from time to time. That's 6. Any 14 in hand, just taking a few shots, and that's Kapahala out already. They're down to just a duo, John Nexus. What's going on?
You've heard of first Prison Hills fight. But what about second Prison Hills fight here from Falcons, re-engaging on the third party? Heads-up play to push out, cover their flank, and get a potentially strong position on the eastern side of this circle. A lot of open ground around this area with the prison position under control. It is a major route of threat that you can isolate.
Gladiators, I thought they were going to take a fight with Demuerte early on to the western side, but it didn't quite happen. They're getting right into a wall, and that wall is called Next Riyadh here. Himself multiple angles, not really ready to defend this spot. But Gladiators now just, as they reach Next Riyadh, start splitting. They're all over the place. Kitsune South pulling actually a Matic special, which is a bit surprising. They need to regroup because they're being sandwiched between Demuerte and Next Riyadh. The Gladiators need to be careful. They could lose a player for free if they're not careful of their next few moves.
Do have a little bit of space to play with. The circle does move out to the southwest side. This is great news for GK's position. GQ's position, sorry.
Yeah, instant regroup too.
Yeah, that's smart. That's heads up. We've seen a lot of overextensions on splits, Max, over the last couple of days.
It's definitely been happening quite a bit, but here you cannot afford to overstay your welcome when you're split. Otherwise, teams are going to be punishing those players relatively quickly. Demuerte also split away Aces and Elementrix. Elementrix in particular, really far away from the rest of his squad. Don't want to be caught out. Nice spray down. Into the buggy he goes. And the knock comes through. Gladiators maybe securing their first elimination. No way that res is coming out.
Smoke needs to go in fast, but with Meku on the high ground, this angle is devastating. Matic has been knocked in response, but Demuerte do not have a foothold to push forwards here. There is no way they are making the point on this. Meku can just, Matic definitely resable. Aces folded in the face of them.
Losing Elementrix too. That's definitely the player I would say for Demuerte. You don't want to lose such an incredible, gifted player back in the European region. Also, back in the Championship of Europe. So here they're just going to buckle up, get himself in their compound, and potentially reduce the amount of movements they're going to do this game, John, to a bare minimum. Though Yekta peeking on the roof, and that Gitoon was not the play.
Meku shuts the door on that one, says no thank you. We don't want any of that messing. Tapok, though, might be able to have an impact here. No one to set up a team fire with just yet. Waits for him to hop in the buggy, but Meku turns it down the hill. Maybe into the fire lines of Next Riyadh. Not safe by any stretch, but alive for the time being.
Seeing Gangsters actually north in Yasnai Fields currently, like very slow on the rotate like we saw in Sanhok. It kind of did hurt them, but this is a decent entry point. Not many teams came in from the north. So I feel like Gangsters could have a decent spot. Tixi, once again, trying to turn up the heat.
They're pushing.
Needs to reposition, try and close the gap because you got the knock. Meku's already over there, so this nade is going to be huge, and here you go. They just crash. Oh, rolls him over.
Meku knocked in the back and taken pretty low there. Matic just going to go for the rundown. That was the DBS. That was the DBS from Tixi out the window. It wasn't even the vehicle to get the knock. Matic goes down, and these nades are good in response, though. So Gladiators not out of the woods just yet. Dokkan Machine laying down cover.
One more.
Zeb Wolf isolated away from this engagement. Dokkan Machine probably going to want to get away from this, but he's got more nades to play with, and they are just pouring through time and time again. The res is from Gladiators, and there's another one. Tixi goes down. Oh my goodness, the Gladiators, they've got a good start to this. They've got an opening, but they are not getting left alone here. And Tapok's in to the shot onto Matic.
How many nades did Dokkan Machine have? He had an absolutely insane amount.
Okay,
he does get naded away
fair.
eventually. Kitsune does get that opening knock, and is down to one. Potentially not going to work out, but he does get the knock. Actually, Z-Wolf gets it done right behind that rock. Meku trying to wrap it up. Only 3 bullets. Swap over. Oh my god, he scared me. Gladiators get themselves their 6th elimination, but way too close for comfort.
Right to the edge, and they're losing players. Meku now the last standing, with Tixi knocked in a very difficult position. These third-party pinches coming through from Excuse Me, from GQ as well. So impactful.
Regnum Kari actually great position on this phase 4 circle, surrounded by pretty much just flat terrain, a few roads north, and they had a 2-2 split super early in the game, John. So they just saw the circle, we're in a great spot, let's regroup, which of course opened up a spot for Nexus, so they got himself a decent compound also in these open terrains. But right now, Regnum Kari are completely uncontested, and you're going to require a huge breach if you want to take that spot away, and that could open up the gates for a third party later on down the line. Actually, I'm looking at this. Tulika from Mad Balls just sneaked his way in, so he could get a few placement points.
Close to Fireflux, though, so not an easy place to hide.
That's true.
Although, actually, saying that, if you're close to Fireflux, nobody else is going to get close to Fireflux. Why on earth would you?
You know what? Sometimes you just got to get close to them and just hide in the bush, and sometimes they're just going to protect you.
It's like one of those little fish that sticks to the underside of sharks, just to stay safe.
I don't know how Tolika would feel about being compared to that, but you know what? It is a valid comparison, though.
Ooh.
Here, Vision going to try and close the gap with Nexus, and it's going to be the end of the road here for Nexus Gaming. Great shot with the DBS. Doran is out, and 3 elimination for Vision, but 2 players. It's going to be a tough late game for them.
Falcon are going to swing on the east side for them with the outpost, not going for that full commit towards Vision. Regnum Kaya still just playing in that central area. We're up on the north side with Gangsters and Brute Force. Brute Force placing second in that previous match, Max, over on Sanok. Now they want to move a little bit further south. They're playing with 3 into the 4 active of the Gangsters. Not really going for this full engagement. You can see the further south position being operated on right now by Prepod.
The thing is, Brute Force and Gangsters have a really good position to play north. They have a ridge across that road. If they can outlive the other teams north, they could actually have a great amount of info that would be so valuable to play in the late game. As of right now, you might have to take the fight, and currently Gangsters, with their angles, seeming like they're the team currently in the best spot to win it. As Meku, last surviving player of Gladiators, John, and he's just trying to wing it, trying to get in circle, just get somewhere. Sees a shed in the distance, will try and aim for it, but that win is not going to happen.
See, there it is. There's the knock. There's the knock onto... Oh, no, hang on. Oh, it was the finish. It was the finish. Yeah. Okay. I take that back. That was a... Man, this game is so unfortunate for Gladiators. Like, they had such a good spot, and then Doka Machine was just like, but what about 8 nades? Like, how does that feel? And then there was third parties, and they just slowed down. They didn't fully push into the fight. And do you know what? I kind of don't think that they needed to, but Doka Machine was just on point with those nades.
It just sucked because it was also smart from Gladiators. They tried to split to not be prone to nade damage, but as you said, he had like 2 bajillion nades.
And they all hit.
Yeah, exactly. They all hit. They all hit. He got himself the res, instantly knocked again, so he couldn't do much. So Doka Machine definitely doing a good amount of work in that fight.
Did go down to a nade, so you live by the...
True.
I was going to say sword, die by the sword, but
It
was the nade. Yeah. So that metaphor kind of falls flat. Either way, we're going to take a look at this next circle. The western edge starting to heat up a little bit, Max.
Yeah, excuse me, next, and Enigma Galaxy actually going to be trying to take the fight. Don't really have to take it. I would say they could split away from one another, but Regnum Kara's position still in play currently. There's going to be the western buildings that are going to be available, so maybe a team goes for the breach, but excuse me here, getting information that Enigma Galaxy are around, and they're going to go for the engage.
Furia swinging around, trying to create that difference in sightlines, draw that attention through. Enigma Galaxy facing off, excuse me, have been problematic across this whole lobby on the western side. They've been harrying and hampering wherever they can. The inlets find themselves seemingly. Furia goes down, but Freak fell first to the fire. Now trying to crawl back, but very, very low. Unlikely to get this one back. Furia, a lot more resable for excuse me. Black White's on the outside, and it's Beck over the top for the nade to flush Freak and find Lord as well. Coops at the backline, still healthy, a star player. But does he have the star power here? Around the backline on the tree, he lines up for Beck. Now attention turned over towards Black White around the tree a second time. And Team GQ, hang on a minute, where do they come from? On the south side, they're going to roll in with 2. AZ leaning out the window with the spray downs. Coops trying to stay alive, taking opponents very, very low, but Ralph is out of the mix.
Get him!
Instead has to hop out, get down on the deck, because he's getting pretty low himself. And once more, it's just Coops, but unfortunately this time he goes down, and it's the nade from Havlik to do the deed.
I mean, we know it, excuse me, right, John? Back in the European Championship, their speciality is utility, nades in particular. You don't want to take a fight like that against them, otherwise you will be on the losing side GQ. Most of the time. But yeah, GQ weren't even invited. They just wanted 3 eliminations, and they got it with the drive-by. Coops couldn't do anything against it, and now they just instantly put their focus back on the position of the circle. They need to get in there, because compound, strong spots are all taken. They need to get what's left. And so far, the southern western edge is where they're going to call home. Fireflux still on the dip on the side of the road. It's good for now, but the moment they start leaving, Fireflux are going to be so predictable. It's going to be tough to hold.
Toffee's dropping out immediately. The vehicle just goes away. It's like, you're good there, man. I'm off.
We're done.
I'll see you later. I don't like bullets. They suck, man. I hate those guys. Meku finding a shot, actually, seeming to still have an impact as the lone soldier for Gladiators. Did also manage to find a spot, but unfortunately, there goes the nade. And it seems like that's the bane of Gladiators this time around. Fitting for it to be, excuse me, there have been problems on that western side for the entire match so far. Stage 5 zone just about to close. Falcons trying to move in on the east.
Excuse me, are going to be taking that fight eventually versus Gangsters as the elimination, well, the knock so far is going to be picked up by onto Kalaga, 5-6. And the circle's going to be moving very soon, so you want to try and wrap this one up as soon as possible. Teak, though, going to be taking this one solo, John. Maybe a bit risky,
you see
but that
these
nade
knocks.
could be huge.
You see these knocks, and you immediately follow up. Teak has to hit the deck, but has got back up now. The rest of the team moving in. Don't need a car. Get that out the way. We're just going to roll over the top of the hill. Lickety split. Take care of business. Road to glory. Take the knee.
That car went flying for a sec. Okay.
Well, they got a new one. It's fine.
It's got, exactly. Just to trade it for free. Thank you. Appreciate it. That's a good trade-off. The Regnum car is positioned still in circle. John, uncontested, no one breached it, and you're getting to the point where cars are going to get damaged. You're going to have less resources to initiate that breach, less utility, less nades, mollies, and smokes to make those transitions. I feel like this might just be a free Regnum Kara game unless Falcons go for the wide rotate east and breach it, maybe opening the floodgates for third parties.
But even then, it's a difficult push to make for Falcons. Like, it's not easy. It's not as simple as just making that choice. We'll see if that hold on the eastern side. You said you wanted to see more from Regnum Kaya this tournament, Max. Hopefully, they're going to have their shot to prove you right this time.
Yeah, they had the opportunity to go for a strong position early on. They went there. And from what we've seen in Turkey, very good at zoning these positions, especially wild. MVP multiple times throughout the phases. Can't stand strong, but GQ in the open. I don't think this is the play they're hoping for. Gets one, gets two, that's it. Fireflux actually the ones to get those knocks. Solus popping off.
The Mini 14, devastating in the hands of Solus. The knock sent back his way by, excuse me, but the damage has already been done to GQ.
Or Thompson, okay. I mean, if you can get the confirmed, that'll be great, but I mean, we knew that was a death send, right, John? There's no way you're going to make it through that open land in one car. Like, that was just hopeful at best, but not really the play you're hoping for. Fireflux now, as they eliminate GQ, that makes that transition a little bit easier, but the fact that, excuse me, are right behind them, leaving that dip is so damn risky.
For Fireflux, it is really, really tricky, right? This is such an iconic position that Fireflux are in. It's very, very easy to hold off the south and the west, but when you have shots actually coming from Regnum Kai's direction, it's still tricky, but they are holding, and holding effectively.
The thing is, right now, because of the madness unfolding over to the west, Falcons, nice little 2-2 split, slowly but surely closing that gap with Regnum Kari, but now they're nade range. And you know that Regnum Kari have a ton of utility they haven't used yet. What an angle from 6! Opens up the floodgates here, gets the first knock. That Mini 14 absolutely deadly here.
They're looking for more. They want to roll up on this. Loxy down close by. 9 eliminations already this match for Falcons, but they've lost a player, so the momentum a little bit tempered as Axa has to get this heal off first. Teak, the nade was on target, but they'd already repositioned away from the knock spot, and they need to get rid of these vehicles now. Falcons, they only have one choice. It's go for it against Regnum Kaya.
It really sucks they couldn't fully close the gap and get into the compound after that opening knock, but right now, the fact that the cars have been completely destroyed, melted down to nothing. Falcons cannot close that gap anymore. They can't get to those walls. And I feel they're going to be like easy pickings, and the blue zone is going to engulf them very soon. Gangster's going to try and send players into the circle. Jafar, first to fall. 6, also first to fall for the side of Falcons as they try and split extremely, extremely wide. Falcons, I don't feel like the breach is going to work out. There's no way. You have no transition point anymore. As Jafar finally confirmed away by Loxy. 3 limbs, and you know it's going to rack up even further.
There's no way the Teak can step up for this one either. Some of those have to have hit. There we go, finally. Loxy able to get that flush. Teak repositioned fully away from the vehicle. They're not going to take any chances, though. Ordnance sent out to where they knew Teak was before, who's still in the dirt, gives the position away now, and immediately the nades immediately popping through. Tulika's a little bit further away, you can see there on the other side of the compound, but yeah, the nades, they do exactly what they need to.
That's massive for Regnum Kara. They're able to clear all of the eastern edge. That means they can put 400% of their focus onto the circle, onto Mad Balls, Fireflux, excuse me, and Gangsters. But Solus has been deadly. What is going on with this man? 3 eliminations, looking for his 4th. We're looking at Ketch, but man, don't forget about Solis, John, because he is an insane fragger in his own right.
The fact that, excuse me, haven't had an impact onto Fireflux's position from the ridgeline that they hold is so important for this lobby. Tulika's still alive in the center as well. He's still going for Mad Bulls. They are surviving.
Thank you, Fireflux. You said it. They've been protecting their boy Tulika. He's been having a good time on the bush or somewhere.
Oh yeah, we know you. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine, mate.
Fine.
Just stay there. We'll get you later.
Well, right now they're going to have to move, and they might just complete... Do they even know... Like, does anyone know Tulika is there?
They should do. Fireflux have been there long enough to have seen Tulika arrive, and I think there was a smoke on the shack as well.
I think they might be one of the only teams to really know and have that information, though. Fireflux, here you go. They're getting the cars because they were protected in that dip. They have 4 cars currently available, ready to go for the transition, though. It's going to be, excuse me, taking a fight versus Gangsters. Ooh. Gangsters down to 1. And excuse me, taken away.
Regnum Kaya taking that third-party shot. Excuse me down first. Gangsters on the northwest side have to make a push, but Fireflux are doing so at the same time. Regnum Kaya with an opportunity here to try and curtail both of them. But into the top 4, Fireflux find a second game in a row where they have massive amounts of power.
Yeah, I mean, Turkey showing up strong. You get himself the Fireflux chicken dinner. Tulika. Unfortunately, not going far enough, but does get himself a little bit of presence shown at the end.
Gangsters finally eliminated on the north side. 2 teams remain now, and it's Regnum Kaya to test their mettle against Fireflux. A Turkish derby.
Ezel, that's huge. That's a great angle, actually, on that little hilltop. Lutz instantly responds. He knows he cannot stay idle. He needs to try and reposition. Get maybe in nade range or get some smokes thrown the way of Ezel to deny visibility. But right now, that angle, if he can actually play it out fully, would be huge. Sulky knocked down once again. They just cannot get the resist through. They're struggling, but that knock is massive.
The
Regnum Kaya on the back foot.
How do you find these shots for Solus? He has been devastating from the divot, now up to the shack. Fireflux looking for these reses, and they will get them. Solus in the smoke has to reposition and push forwards. They have their backs to the blue, but they're fighting strong. The cross is good, and Solke stays alive. Look for that heal, and nade back over towards Wild. Loxy on the off angle, tries to find it, but there's the flush to bring them down to 3. Regnum Kaya lose 1.
They still have a functioning buggy here, John. They could fully send it, maybe potentially south. I would say of this position, try and avoid. You want to try and drive perpendicular to the shots are going to be taken your way by Regnum Kaya, so you hopefully make it in the circle. And I feel like that's what Lutz is going to try and achieve. Try and gain a little bit of elevation into the buggy on the back seat. Currently a 4v3, while Loxy still bringing support from the building. Loxy in particular is really locking down this game. But if he gets knocked, this could be a Fireflux win.
He also had very limited ammo on that AUG that he was holding. I think it was only 7 bullets behind the magazine he had, and the DBS was the secondary. So might be a little bit dry on the ammo reserves here. Doesn't really have a weapon swap available. So could be very, very tricky. Needs to have impact, but Wild just trying to take the shots over towards Lutz. But he's just drawing that ammo out of their backpacks at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, the shotgun was really just desperate, like a little bit scared from that position. Ketch keeping him on that side of the road. I actually really enjoy it. There's still a portion of that road that is in circle, and that might be something Regnum Kaya aren't quite fully equipped to deal with. As now the smokes dissipate, I don't think they have any more, John. You just have to play it out in the grass and hope to not be spotted by Loxy. That's been the absolute snipe of this game with that AUG, but 3 bullets, Tron? What?
I mean, they are so run dry because they were holding in the compound for so long.
Exactly. I mean, after that fight with Falcons and just shutting down all of the teams on the west, what do you have to play with? Pretty much nothing. Do Fireflux know this? I don't think so, but that is something that is going to come to play at the end.
Similarly, though, Fireflux have been holding in that divot for a long, long time. I was surprised that they had as many smokes as they did. Ketch spotted very low. He whiffs the shot to the side. That was all 3 of his bullets. He needed to find that knock, but Solke goes down instead. Another knock for Regnum Kaya as well. Solus falls next. Ketch still active, still low. 2 players are there, but they will not be able to stand up. Regnum Kaya able to convert. Fireflux denied the back-to-back, but Turkey win either way.